Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Board of Finance meeting of Wednesday, November 10th. The time is now 7:02. If you'll please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, with that, moving right on to delegations. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to address the Board of Finance this evening? Yes, ma'am. Name and address for the record, please.
Can you hear me through the... Okay, thank you. My name is Carol Russell, and I live at 4 Bramblebush Drive in Niantic. And I also happen to be a member of the Water and Sewer Commission. And I am here tonight to talk in support for American Rescue Fund appropriation for well number 5. I'm just going to read my statement. I am here to express my strong support for the requested appropriation of $920,000 in American Rescue Plan funds for the reconstruction of well number 5. The vote by the Water and Sewer Commission to submit this request to the town was unanimous. When this request was tabled without a hearing on the merits at the last Board of Finance meeting, the disappointment and concern by me and my fellow commission members who were in attendance at the meeting was profound. It is encouraging that this item has been resubmitted to the Finance Board by the Board of Selectmen and is now once again on your agenda. I urge you to listen to the merits of this request, which Joe Bregar, the Director of Public Works, is prepared to present here tonight on behalf of the Commission. You will see from his presentation that the reconstruction of Well 5 not only is a project with merit, but is, in fact, a critical need. And without the American Rescue Plan funding, Water and Sewer will be unable financially to proceed with going forward fully with this vital project in the current fiscal year. And I stress in this current fiscal year. This project has technical requirements that are time sensitive, and the window of opportunity to proceed in the current fiscal year is closing fast. And should this vital project have to be delayed until next fall, the $920,000 price tag will no longer be sufficient to cover the costs due to inflationary pressures and supply issues, which you have but to listen to the news and you see how those things are going. And should Water and Sewer be denied access to rescue funds, we would be forced to look for other ways to fund this project, most likely requiring bonding, which would, of course, add interest payments to the cost. To conclude, water is an essential utility with residential, commercial, and, of course, municipal customers. We are trying to maintain stability with our rate increases and avoid spikes. Well number 5 was constructed in 1994, and wells typically last 20 to 30 years. The clock is ticking. It is significant that the guidance from the U.S. Treasury Department specifies rescue funds may be used for water or sewer infrastructure investments. Our town water utility needs this helping hand, and I urge you to vote yes on this project. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Carol. Do you have a copy of your letter that you could leave with our recording secretary?
Sure.
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience like to address the board this evening? Okay. Seeing no one, we'll move on to approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of October 13th, 2021. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting of Wednesday, October 13th, 2021. This is the regular meeting minutes.
Thanks, Ann Chiquello. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thanks, John.
Any discussion on the minutes, corrections?
Yeah, what, we received a copy of the minutes without their attachments. But Karen had sent the copy to us by email with the attachments. So presumably when we approve these minutes, we're going to approve them with the attachments that we received by email?
The attachments are online on
Right.
the website, so they're all fine.
Okay.
You already had the paper, so I wasn't going to wait.
Right, no, that's fine. I have no problem with that. I just want to make that clear that Camille, you had a number of attachments, right? And I think I had something in there as well, so, okay.
Yours was in there.
Yes, okay. All right.
It's
That's
all online.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yes, Rich?
Yes, under board comments on page 5, I think just a couple of minor corrections on what I had said. I found it disconcerting. It wasn't that they would receive answers to during the meeting. It was my understanding that if we submitted the questions, we would get the answers before the meeting, and it occurred during the meeting that the answers were given. And then the last sentence where it said that he is disappointed with a contractor who cannot guarantee the work. It's close, but not quite. I was disappointed that the architect's plan for an alternative, the alternative to replacing the roof because of delays with supply chain, that the contractor wasn't able to guarantee the work that would be put into place there. If that makes any sense. You're okay.
You got that, Karen?
No, you can write it down if you can hear.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So would you like to approve the motion as amended? Okay. If there's no further discussion, all right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Okay, great. 600. Thanks. With that, we'll move on to the board reports, starting with the Board of Education.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Good to see you. Sorry I missed you last month. A couple of updates. First, just kind of the school year itself. It's already November. We've had a lot of continued issues with COVID. This week, for instance, it's Thursday tomorrow. We've already had 8 COVID cases across our schools, so we're still kind of battling that. But the good news, you probably heard in the news, that screen and stay option. We adopted that rather quickly, received the protocols and process Friday night about 5 o'clock, went through it over the weekend. We drafted up all the letters and sent them out Monday, and so we've implemented that, which is good because we've got well over 100 kids that would have to be quarantined and be out right now. But as long as they're not showing symptoms, they can be back in school, which is a good thing. So we can keep kids in school. But there's so many parameters with that. They can't do any after-school activities or sports, or so they can't go play basketball for the rec league. So there's just a lot of tentacles that we're still trying to work through with it. So and parents are happy the kids are back, but confused still with what they can and can't do. But it's good that we have them back and we don't have to quarantine unless, and it's an option. We have parents that are quarantining their kids just because that's what they want to, or they're choosing to do. So a bit challenging, but COVID hasn't gone away, unfortunately. We're still continuing to work through it. So other piece I just want to mention, our budget workshops. If anybody is interested in attending, our first one is next Thursday. I think my executive assistant sent it out, and so we'll be at our high school library again, just as last year, same process. We're starting to work together with our schools and starting to build the budgets, we'll see. We're going to discuss positions and so forth next week, and then we'll have another workshop in December, and that will be more of the money side of things. We'll talk about kind of where the budget is, and we should have more of a what our overall potential increase might be. So we're working through that, and we don't have any of the school budgets yet, so hopefully we'll have those in the coming weeks as well. So that's underway. You probably be driven by our baseball field, or if you haven't, maybe heard. So that project is almost complete, should be done by the end of the month. And, the whole outfield was ripped out, and we trucked in, sand and the right combination and mixture of material, so it will drain. So it should be being seeded soon, and then it will go dormant, and then it will hopefully grow in the spring. And our goal is to be able to have the players back on the field for partial season, in the spring. Not the start of the games. They'll be at Brybrook to start, but then they'll be able to be on the field for the last couple of games. That's our hope. Weather's cooperated so far, so we're in good shape there. And just for the record too, I don't know if there was, I had reached out and let Anna know, there was some questions about, how that was funded. It wasn't ARP dollars or ESSER dollars. ARP and ESSER dollars covered technology costs, some more contracted costs, which freed up operating budget dollars to cover the cost of the field, which 10 times cheaper than going in a turf field direction or any of that. So we should have an excellent working playable field for the second part of the spring. So we're excited about that. So, we've been living a lot of COVID for the last couple months, and ready to, it's already November. So, but hopefully, you can, if you can make the budget workshops, we really appreciate you being part of that and our continued partnership as we move forward. So, any questions on anything specific?
Any questions from the board? Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much,
Thanks, everybody.
Jeff.
All right, have a good evening.
Good luck.
Thank you.
With that, we'll move on to the first selectmen's report.
Evening.
Good evening.
Real brief. Public safety building is nearing completion. Floors being polished, and the coats of polish are being put down, and we're holding the contractor and the subs to their commitment that they have in their contract. So we're going through the punch list items now, things like light bulbs and the exit signs that need to be replaced. Very little things, but we're very close to a CO, and we'll be moving forward on that in the next couple of weeks. And moving in, there's furniture in 3 different spots in town that will be moved into the building, and that's nearing the end of that story, the saga that it is. Holiday Stroll is the Saturday after Thanksgiving. If you're around, please come on down. They're expanding the hours of that. There'll be the Saturday. I think I heard a rumor today that tree lighting is the night before, but I'll check on that. But November 27th, it begins the Holiday Stroll and the holiday season downtown. December 11th is the light parade, and it's also the Jingle 5K, the 5K run that the Daigle Foundation puts on December 11th. I know that there is a rain/snow date, a rain date of the 12th. So if something happens on the 11th, it will be the 12th. I encourage you, the citizens, to shop local. Get off your computers and get downtown, or anywhere in the region, but shop local. Spend our money locally if you can find items on the shelves. Lastly, I just want to thank everyone for their service to the town of East Lyme. Thank you very much. It's not easy work. We all know that. It's real hard. Some of you are staying, which is great because that will provide some continuity. You have some great members joining you on the Board of Finance. Some are moving to other commissions, boards and commissions, and some of us are going to be retired pretty soon. So we'll always be involved, and we'll always be a phone call away. And I know I'll speak for Camille, but she'll speak for herself later. I'm sure that it's just been a pleasure to serve. It's been a pleasure to move the town forward. And sometimes that's like pulling teeth, and sometimes it's very difficult work. Sometimes it's like going to the sausage factory to see how it's made. But at the end of the day, it's a tasty meal. And at the end of the day, we've moved the town forward. We, all of us, together, have left the town better than we found it, whether it was a year ago, 4 years ago, 8 years ago, whatever it was. So thank you again for your service, and thank you for the people who step up and say, I'll fill that seat, because it's not easy work, especially in today's rather political climate. Thank you, and then I'll take any questions you might have.
Any questions for the first selectman? Thank you, Mark. That was very nice. So with that, we'll move on to the Director of Finance's report.
Good evening. In your green folders tonight, there's a letter from our town attorney certifying the appropriateness of the America Rescue Fund projects that are on your agenda this evening. And then in addition to that, I also did an updated unassigned fund balance report looking for the end of 6/30/22. So I'll go over that with you in a couple of minutes. In your packets, I sent out some reports on the America Rescue Funds because I just thought the board would be interested. So first is just a summary sheet indicating the total amount of funds that East Lyme will be receiving, the $5.44 million. To date, we've appropriated $677,000, and pending approval this evening is $1,014,000. So from the total funding, we have a remaining balance of approximately $3.8 million, and to date, we've received $2.7 million of the funding. So included is a budget expenditure detail report, and it's set up similarly to the reports that you receive on the general fund. So the way that I set up the budget accounts is for each town meeting, I'm doing one budget account because a couple of the meetings had so many items that would just be rather cumbersome. So in any event, that's how I've set it up. This way, you know, it tells the story of how the funding was allocated. And then for each of those budget accounts, I did a little detailed report. So you can see for the public safety roof, at this point we have funds encumbered for the appropriation that occurred on September 1st. We have several items where we have open purchase orders. We haven't received the goods, or they haven't been installed at this point. We did make the disbursement for the Shoreline Soup Kitchen refrigerated truck, our portion of that. And then the most recent appropriation on October 6th, many of those requests were for nonprofits, and so those disbursements have all been made except for the disbursement on the pump out boat. So at this point, my plan would be to bring it back to both Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance at a later date to unallocate the funds. That way it's going to be in the record, and you know, it'll show the story. So that's my plan for that. And so I guess every couple of months, once a quarter, I'll continue to update the board with these reports going forward. That way you can kind of see how things have progressed. So on the regular budget reports, in terms of how the fiscal year is going, I don't, you know, comparing the statistics from year to year, there really doesn't look like there were any surprises at this point. In the month of October, we received our first installment of the Education Cost Sharing Grant, along with the Municipal Stabilization Grant. And then we also, on the expenditure side, did make our disbursement for the year to Ledge Lake Health District of $140,000. Looking at the revenues, I think so far things are going very well. We're doing well on the tax side, and then the local fee items that I look at are the building permits, the conveyance taxes, and the town clerk fees, because those are really our largest projections in those areas. And at this point, we are tracking very well there. The only thing you may notice that we have not at this point received any of the Board of Ed tuition. And we did receive one payment earlier this month, and I do need to touch base with Mariana at the Board of Ed, because I want to see at this point how she believes they're going to track to the end of the fiscal year. So more to come on that. And on the expenditure side, at this point, there are a few salary accounts. The assistant building official, they're tracking a little high there. The zoning recording secretary is tracking a little high. I know that the zoning commission has had meetings, I guess, every week just about in the month of October, because they had several public hearings. So that's what's kind of driving that. So we'll have to kind of pay attention to that. And then Niantic Fire Department, it looks like at this point they may have about a $10,000 shortfall if they continue tracking the way that they're currently tracking relative to their overtime and their part-time accounts. Like part-time accounts tracking a little under, overtime is tracking over, but in between the two of them, it looks like a $10,000 shortfall by the end of the fiscal year. What's going on there is they're having difficulty even getting the part-time firefighters that they have on board to work. So they're having to have the full-timers put in more overtime to fill the shift. So that's kind of what the issue there is. On the Niantic side, they're tracking very well budget-wise. So that's a good thing. And then the other salary stressor, I noticed the part-time fire marshal account is tracking high. So I'm going to have to touch base with him and see what's going on there. And then the animal control officer overtime is a little on the high side as well. So, and I'm going to have to talk to them because I understand that the full-time ACO is going to be out for a while. So we might have some issues there. So I don't know if anyone has any questions on these general fund reports.
Any questions?
No, you're good.
All set?
Yeah. So then I just, the reports that I put in your packets for the unassigned fund balance and the revenue account end of year projection. So, after 4 months, I like to start looking at where we are now and where we're going to the end of the year. And I mean, actually, at this point, just under $800,000 surplus. It is very early. As I indicated before, I have not touched base with the board to see how they think their tuitions are going to track. I do know that this year they did do them rather conservatively, so I think that's a good thing there. So, we're doing well, and I think, if the projections continue to hold out for the rest of the year, we'll have another good year. And
Well,
some of that is, due to the board's willingness to take conservative approaches when we do the projected revenues. That's, part of the overall.
Wow, I would say that we're doing much better than pretty well. I mean, that's remarkable when you think about where we were just 3 or 4 years ago in terms of the percentage in the unassigned fund balance. I mean, it's amazing going from, 7 or 8% up to now a projected 14.
Yes, we are doing very well.
So would you say that it would be wise to stop when we hit that 15% mark? Is there a chance that we'll get penalized for certain funding if we are seen as being too well funded?
Well, I think even 15% for a community our size is I think that we would be in good shape. But I think at that point we're going to have to start looking at how we want to deal with it, like planned use of fund balance. Do we want to say, okay, once we hit the target of 15% in the subsequent year, we can use any difference, any excess to, balance the budget, or perhaps use it as special source of funding for some type of capital projects that we may want to do. You know, I mean, realistically, we could get to a point where maybe we use those excess funds to pay for the road work the town has on its list, rather than bonding it for a year. So there are all types of possibilities, and that's just something that we're going to have to look at. Once we hit that earmark, we would be in a position to start doing planning going forward.
And maybe we'll be moving into an environment where we'll actually earn some money on some of those cash balances, which would be nice.
Wouldn't it?
Yep. But that's great. That's really exciting to be able to self-fund some of those projects coming down the road. Any other questions or concerns?
And I was just wondering, what's going on with the auditors now?
They'll be in later this month.
So Anna, do you think we can complete the audit by the end of the year? Do you think with them?
Well, that would be our goal, yes.
They've already started work, so
They've done some work, yes.
okay. Is there much holiday time off? Like, is this month sort of end early in their work because they're
Well,
taking
just
that time?
Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Now, is there a lot more information that you have to give them?
I need to finish the capital assets.
Okay.
That's a big thing, and I just received some of the information from some of the departments, so I can start putting that together.
Good. Thank you.
If there's no other questions, we can move on to new business. Okay, which is 6A, approve the 2022 meeting schedule, which is in our packets. Did everybody take a look at that? Project outwards, plan for vacations. I don't think any of us have kids in school anymore to worry about spring break. So if there's no concerns with the calendar, is there a motion to approve it?
I move to approve the Board of Finance meeting schedule for 2022 as proposed.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, John and Peter. If there's no further discussion, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Abstain.
I'll abstain. 402. Okay, thank you. Moving on to old business. First up is the special appropriation of $1,014,000 from the American Rescue Plan funds. Mark, will you be speaking to this?
I'll speak to the whole group of the special appropriation, the $1 million appropriation. The $4,000 for Karen shares should be stricken for your consideration this evening. After last month and then the article, there was someone who stepped up and wrote the Karen share a check for that amount so that they can get their freezer in time for the holidays. They will come back with some other capital needs. Those who will be here in the next session will, they have a deteriorating facility that could use some updating. It's a town property, but we'll work with them. One particular item that Joe and I have had some brief discussions on is a shared generator use for that building. The town has some uses in that building. We have our gas pumps up there behind their building that do not have generators attached, but their freezers, naturally, it would be great to have generators like all of us want to have a generator attached to our freezer, and that, if they were to lose power for a week at a critical time, it could be critical for many families in our region. So anyway, that said, 4,000, strike that. Please do not consider that this evening. The $920,000 is first on your list. Mr. Bergaw, who is also runs our water and sewer department, and we'll speak to that because it's technical and detailed. I did not ask Main Street to come back. I think many of you went to the Board of Selectmen and know what they're asking for. They're looking for a new charrette, and the $60,000 for the town clerk. You know what's going on there. We're digitizing. We do it every year, but we'd like to get a big chunk out of it. So the next time, let's hope we never have to close the town hall again. But the convenience factor of being able to digitize our town records so that people can access that from without having to come into our building. And we see the importance of that now, post-pandemic. But just the ease of doing business with our town, doing it from your own desktop instead of coming in. We want to get ahead of that a little bit. So those are pretty simple requests. The $920,000 you heard from a citizen tonight, someone on the commission. But Joe, do you want to speak to maybe just be available for any technical questions or what happens on that well 5? I know Brad was here last time. I don't think he got a chance to speak.
Well, Joe, I can't imagine that anything's changed from the last meeting, right? This is still the same presentation that it was last time? Is there any new information that you have?
I didn't give a presentation last time.
I think
in front of the Board of
the Board of
Selectmen.
Selectmen. You heard most of all of you.
I don't know,
heard the
was
Selectmen.
everyone at the Board of Selectmen? Because I didn't present to this board, this project. I was going to give a 5,000-foot, 2-minute.
Okay.
I wasn't going to,
Okay.
we weren't going to go into an
You
hour.
haven't seen it? Okay, okay.
Just the facts and just so that everyone has a, 10,000 foot. So, impact of water and sewer, just if you're aware, there's about 6,800 water accounts in town. There's approximately 8,500 households. So it just gives or takes. About 80% of the people in the town are on the East Lyme Water Department. For sewers, there's approximately 3,500 sewer accounts, so about 41%, just so you know. We have reviewed the federal criteria for the American Rescue Plan projects, and one of the eligible uses that is clearly eligible is water and sewer infrastructure. It's clear as day. So this project is meat and potatoes. I completely understand the town of East Lyme. We do the best for our constituents, but it is helpful to know what's going on in our next door neighbor in Waterford. And if you haven't seen it, I have copies of it, but has the article in the paper of how they fully allocated all their ARP funds back in August. And 2.5 million of the 5.5 million, they got the same amount as us. 2.5 million of their 5.5 million went to their utilities, so 44% of it. So just doesn't make me feel as bad when you're asking for 920. They almost got half, and I talked to their utility director today, who's off and running, doing the projects already, and there is value to that because costs are going crazy right now. So any of the projects we talk about in 6 months will be cost 15% more. So, and then one of the things too is I do know that whenever you get these funds, and you guys are aware, there's very specific prevailing wage requirements, strict adherence, reporting things. That's what we do. So I will tell you that if we go for these projects, that's probably why they like to put the water and sewer projects in there, is because water and sewer does these exact things that the federal government wants, so that you don't have any hiccups in the end. So as far as the process went, we had our own process because I'm here representing the Water and Sewer Commission tonight. The August 24th meeting, the Water and Sewer Commission requested that staff put together a priority list of all the projects. At our September 28th meeting, the staff presented a list of projects, and it was put in a letter. Does everyone on the board have that letter of the projects? So there was 4 projects totaling about $2 million. So they prioritized. They unanimous vote to move forward with this project here. So it's very important that there are processes in place on that side. We went through all those channels in the Water and Sewer Commission and voted it, and that's why it was in front of the Board of Selectmen and stuff like that. A little bit of merits of the proposed project. There's 6 wells in town. I did want to, it is helpful to know, and I have this here, so the camera can pick this up too. And there's a map of the wells, but there's 6 wells in town. But really important to know, because we say well 5, where the heck is that? Well 5 is, it's right off of, it's right over here.
Joe?
South. Oh.
Could you put it on the podium, perhaps? Oh, okay.
I'm putting it right here
That's
because
great.
you can see it on the camera too.
Oh, okay.
So
Great.
everyone at home
Thanks.
can see. But so well 5 is right in the southeast corner. Southeast corner of Patagonia Lake. But if you know something it's a map means so well. It's the only well. It's the farthest well north. It's the only well north of Boston Post Road. By the way, the only one north of I-95 too. So it's such a critical well to us. It's got the lowest levels of sodium in all our town wells. That's the well typically in that report is rated to pump 700,000 gallons per day. Right now it's pumping 125,000. It's at about 18% capacity. The town averages about 1.7 to 2.3 million gallons a day use, 1.7 in the winter, 2.3 in the summer. So if this well is at full capacity, it would be supplying 30 to 40% of the whole town. And right now it's supplying 7 to 10%. Why is the well so low? Ms. Russell said before, as far as the well was built in 1994, it's at its end of its useful life. But you can try to extend the life by, they call it surging a well. We've done that about 3 or 4 times. It's kaput. It's not gaining anything. So there's really nothing we can do except re-drilling this well. What the project involves, the 920, $150,000 to drill a new well, about $400,000 for the filter. There's a treatment plant, and that's the thing that's challenging for us. We're not Groton that has one treatment plant. We're not. New London has one treatment plant. We have all these wells, so every well has to have a treatment plant, and in that treatment plant there's big filter vessels. So you have to replace those just like a filter in your own house, but these are humongous filters. $400,000 to replace the median and rehabilitate that. $100,000 sandblast, $50,000 for building improvements, $100,000 for Scada improvements. I mean, this is the year 2021. Last I knew that the communication with all these things, it has to run like a fine, orchestra or something like that. And a lot of times all the equipment is all antiquated, so this would update that equipment. And then a 15% contingency. That's for all the inflation's going on. So there's the 920. Why approve this now? We have a permit with the DEP to drill the well that expires in March of 2022. Costs are escalating like exponentially as we speak. So the longer we wait on the issue of purchase orders, I can't guarantee these numbers. The sooner we can get a PO in, the better. This is a kind of project we can get our hands around because it's not overly complicated for our staff downstairs, and we have phenomenal staff to general contract this project ourselves. So we could get on this thing if this is approved right away. We could be, rolling with things very soon and get this thing done. But it does take a little time to line up contractors, do all the materials and stuff like that. So we have a window of opportunity, and if it gets approved in the next month, we could do that. We could do this project this winter, take it offline, and get it back before May when we get the high season. If we wait another month or two past that, we can't take that well down even still because we're already taking water from New London. We can't take a well down as well in the middle of summer, so it would push it off 6 to 9 months, which then throws. I mean, you might add 20% to the project. I don't even know the way things are running on the construction side. We have to move forward on the water and sewer side. So this is going to have to happen whether ARP funds or not. The problem, what we're concerned about is what the impact is to ratepayers, who I've already said are 80% of the town. If we have to fund this through the water department, I mean, it could significantly jack up rates, and we don't want to do that. So we're trying to balance everything. I said we could general contract it ourselves, and we will follow all the town purchasing policies because we do that. So I wanted to say that before I finish. So there's certain things that are sole source, the material, media, and stuff like that, but we will handle all the purchasing policy. And that's it. So that's my 10,000 foot, and I hope if you have any questions, but it's a very, very important project. That's why it was number one project for the Water and Sewer Commission. We'd love to get going on this thing, and we'd love to have your support.
Right. Thanks, Joe. Just to reiterate, this board never disputed the merit of the project.
I'm not saying you did.
Okay.
Just
for the record.
I'm here to tell you the story. That's why I didn't do it. This didn't need to go on for an hour.
Yep.
You guys are very clear of your support of it. At the last projects, as Mr. Nickerson said, whether it's elected officials or staff, we're all trying to work together, get this thing done. This is a pretty important project, and if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them.
Any questions for Joe?
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Joe. Thanks very much for the presentation. I just had a question about the Scada and instrumentation upgrades, the $100,000 for that. So that would be for this well, but will it help the rest of the communication system amongst the wells, or just?
This is for this facility, but the Water and Sewer Commission is responsible for upgrading the other locations, and we've been upgrading it. But for this well here, nothing has been upgraded in years. So this is addressing that, but everything works in together.
Okay.
So improving it there is improving the whole system. because it's talking
That's
to the
good.
well to make sure that that well's going on. There's a lot of stuff that goes on.
All right, thanks.
I just got a few questions for you.
Sure.
So, you were saying that originally there was like 700,000 gallons
Per day,
per day, and then it went down to 120, right?
right now.
120,000 per day.
Correct.
So then you said at the end of the useful life, you surge the well. Does that then increase the amount?
No, from when you get to 7 to the 120, you surge. When you get to the 120, there's really nothing more we can do that well. If we spend, to surge a well costs about $25,000 to $30,000. We budget about, on maintenance of wells, $70,000, so we try to surge 2 wells a year.
And what does
So-
that mean exactly?
Surge, they basically pump the bottom of the well. I wish Ben was here because he's the utility engineer.
That's okay.
But it just basically makes, it increases the yield of the well by cleaning out all the manganese and all the stuff at the bottom where the pumps are.
Okay.
I mean, everything just gets gummed up. It cleans everything out so that it can feed into the well. That's what's going on. And you can do that so many times, and at some point in time, there's just so much crap that's gone in there, you just got to re-drill it.
So when you see the efficiency going down, that's when you surge it and you get it to go
Correct.
up a little bit more. And
We
it's
ju-
at the point now where you can no longer
Yep.
do that.
We were seeing that on the 2 wells down by Bridebrook Lake. Both of them were starting to go down, and we surged both of them in the last few months, and they both went right back up. So you're supposed to watch that.
To the
Do it-
original level? Or to
No,
what
it's
level?
never to the original level, but if it goes from 100 to 60 down to 80 to 50 to 70, they always come down, but you're always gaining that extra 30%, which is more water, so we're not taking from the London. It's just the way the system works.
I understand. So, just one other question. You said Groton, New London, they have one treatment facility?
Yes.
Okay, so why does East Lyme then have,
Well, they have a reservoir.
oh, okay.
We don't have we have challenges in East Lyme on our utilities. On the water side, we have 6 wells, so every single well has to be treated.
Yeah.
In New London, you have, if you go on Route 85,
Yep.
you have the lake there. There's one massive treatment plant that you can have economies of scale that everything goes through. In Groton, you go on 95, right by exit 88. There's the reservoir. It all goes through one facility. We have 6 treatment plants. We have 1 treatment operator. We just added a second treatment operator running around at every single one of these, adding chemicals, adding all the things, all the things that to make it to potable water. So it's very challenging on the water side, and then on the sewer side, we have 23 pump stations. So a small town like that, but they have 5 in New London. So we have a lot of issues on the utility sides. We're always juggling these things. The Water and Sewer Commission put together a list, and this is the most important one on the list.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And then, I think you explained it, but the work, you guys, the town, is gonna be like the GC on the project?
Yeah, the water department staff. So Ben's not here, but Ben, our utility engineer and assistant, we just hired an assistant utility engineer. These guys are great, and they would general contract. They would put the work out to bid, get prices. They would do everything to arrange it to save us money, get it in there. We don't have to hire a consultant to do this. They'll do it downstairs.
Okay, so last question. If this is approved and you do this work, then should the efficiency go back up to, you think, 700,000
It should.
gallons per day?
It's a new well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which
Great.
is going to be huge for the town, with our best well, with the lowest sodium,
Okay, great.
north of Boston Post Road.
Thank you.
Rich?
Thanks, Joe, for the presentation.
Yep.
I'm just curious, looking at the graph, I think I can see where you had your surging of wells, but in 2017 things kind of dropped precipitously. Is that when
That was the last, yeah.
Is that when it met its useful life?
Yeah, we would have
That point?
surged it in 2017, which you can see the spike. But
Yeah.
you'd like to see more of a spike than that.
Yeah.
This is just, it's diminishing returns to surge
Yeah.
these wells.
Yeah.
The chart on the other wells would see much more significant going up and then coming down, but that's just to tell us that this well is just not
It's
producing.
shot.
And so that's why we have a permit. We've known this, before that we've heard the American Rescue Funds are going out, and we're starting to
Right.
try to process, but to come up with $900,000, we're really not trying to buy. We just got done with a $6 million treatment plant for, to improve our water quality after coming off a $8 million interconnect project. Water and sewer projects are just expensive, and we're trying to keep the rates stable for our taxpayers. It's a ongoing balancing act. high wire bonds.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. That was just curiosity.
Yeah, sure.
Anybody else? Okay, thanks, Joe.
Sure.
Niantic Main Street?
Yeah, Main Street, again, I'll reiterate, they're looking to do another charrette. The last one was about 25 years ago. And they've ticked the checklist. People living downtown, putting a park, or at least taking control of that property. It was a gas station, and we turned it into a municipal park. Restaurants, and look at all the restaurants that have opened up downtown and all over town. But it brings people to our town, and we didn't have a boardwalk when that charrette was envisioned. Well, when it was done, so they've ticked the checklist. They want to know what the next level is, and they want an independent study, and that's what this is for. It's up to $30,000 when they get a firm commitment from the people that do this. They will turn in the invoice and only get reimbursed up to that amount. They've committed to that as well, but they want to know if the town's willing to go ahead with this so that they can start looking for the work to be done.
Any questions on the charrette study?
Yeah, could you just explain exactly what the charrette study is?
It's kind of like the POCD, not the breathing problem. So I give some people breathing problems. POCD, where you involve the community, in different groups. There's surveys, but there's also just a general look at what our natural layout is. I mean, you can only do so much down here. And then what do you want it to become? You know, we don't want, or do we want to be another Mystic with the crowds and the craziness down there? And we can't be that, right? And you don't want to be in Essex. We want to be Niantic. But what is Niantic, and what's that definition, and what's that vision for the future? Very simply, you know, and it will take a look at, especially zoning. It will take a look at, you know, what's allowable, and the zoning's done a great job over the years of making sure that things that are built fit down there, look like they belong down there, as best as they can without doing it. They don't have an architectural review board. Remember the old days? I remember before I even got zoning, a long time ago, that Stonington Borough has an architectural review board. We all remember those stories. And one guy went out and painted his house black because he was mad, and they couldn't do anything about it, or they could, or whatever. But we don't want, or do we want that? You know, but it will be everything about that. It'll be about what to attract, what toward. You know, we're so lucky. We have the movie theater that might need help someday, but we have the dance studio, and we have the children's museum. We have Black Hawk Fishing that brings people to our downtown. So do the restaurants. So what's next? What's next? So it's a comprehensive look from a professional firm that knows how to do this, and not just us getting around a table, because what do we know?
Okay, great, thank you.
Rich?
Yes. If I remember correctly, Mark, the original charrette study looked at the Flanders end of town as well as Niantic. And when you started describing this allocation of funds, you mentioned that Main Street's ticked off, you know, a good chunk of what was advised in that original study. Will there be more of a focus on Flanders in
Yes.
this next phase?
Yeah, their presentation to the Board of Selectmen included Flanders especially. Flanders is going to be a vehicle-driven area. I mean, I wouldn't walk from Tri-Town to Flanders Donuts to the Shack. I mean, you take your life in your hands. It's 6 lanes now, and it's going to be expanded even more as you get closer to Costco when the new bridge comes in. It's a place where you go vehicle to vehicle, but the look of it has already taken shape through the charrette with split rail fences, with decorative lighting, and we can do even a better job of you know, making it a welcoming place. And as buildings, because there's some tired buildings in that area, we don't want to call any out.
Right.
But as things get reshaped, what should they be? What should they look like? Should they be mixed use? Should we have people living near the four corners? Again, that brings people.
Right.
Should we encourage restaurants right there? Not fast food McDonald's, but restaurants. Should they be mom and pops or should they be chains? And Charette will take into Flanders and Flanders Road, because that's going to develop now. The Costco's there, and the bridge will be redeveloped and starts in 2 years to 2023. And there's a study to expand Flanders Road to include bike lanes and sidewalks. And that's already started. Flanders Road will also need some attention. Strip mall and odd buildings and all that. What should that look like?
Right. Yeah, because, with exit 75 feeding right into the Four Corners, Flanders is also a welcoming point for East Lyme, and East Lyme incorporates Flanders and Niantic, so hopefully their next phase study could look at the integration of the two villages.
Absolutely. Niantic Main Street is focused on East Lyme / Niantic businesses and the business district. And it's a small commercial district. It's down here, it's Flanders Road, and it's Route 1 and Flanders Four Corners. That's it. That's all our commercial space in the entire town. They are focused 100% on all of it. They started with the National Main Street program, as you know. And therefore, their name gets caught up with Main Street, but it's all of the business districts in town.
Okay. Good. Thanks.
Just to make the point that, Rich, about the Flanders end of town, at the presentation before the Board of Selectmen, I think the presentation was clear that it would be very inclusive of, the Flanders end, and even looking at the Niantic end, the Liberty Green, and seeing how that could be improved to kind of mesh better with the new park. So I think it's a total sort of looking at everything, not just Main Street anymore. Yeah.
I'm good.
You're good, Peter?
Yeah, I'm good, yep.
Okay. So we talked about that. We talked about Karen Share no longer needs the $4,000, and we've heard about the land records. So if there's no further questions, did you want to talk about the letter from the attorney? Ann?
I think once we do the motion, then
okay.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
If that's all right.
All right. Who would like to make the motion? Does somebody have that in front of them?
I have it, but I don't think it's the right amount now, because you have to take out the.
So it would be
1,010,000.
1010.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Motion to approve a special appropriation in the amount of $1,010,000 for the items captioned above, with the source of funds being American Rescue Funds. This requires a town meeting, and the amounts above are $920,000 Water and Sewer Commission for the Well 5 reconstruction. Niantic Main Street, $30,000 for Yale Charette study, and $60,000 for the East Lyme Town Clerk for the digitizing of land records.
Okay. Thanks, Ann Chicello. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, John. Okay. Discussion.
Okay, I guess I just wanted to explain that I was the one who had requested that town council give us an opinion on whether these appropriations were appropriate under ARPA. The way it works, there was 4 guidelines that they talked about as to what's appropriate. And let me just find them. I just wanted to kind of read them into the record. So the 4 are: 1, to respond to the public health emergency or its negative economic impacts, including assistance to households, small businesses, and nonprofits, or aid to impacted industries such as tourism, travel, and hospitality. 2, to respond to workers performing essential work during COVID-19 public health emergency by providing premium pay to eligible workers. 3 was to provide government services to the extent of the reduction in revenue due to the COVID-19 public health emergency relative to revenues collected in the most recent fiscal year prior to the emergency. And 4, to make necessary investments in water, sewer, or broadband infrastructure. So I know in the first 2 packets of appropriations, we had gotten a letter from the attorney. And I think just to protect the town, that going forward, that there should be, you know, a confirmation, a validation by town council that they do fall under the ARPA. And the reason I'm saying this is that, as I think the first selectman had said before, that when they first came out with these guidelines, and they went and they changed them. So in case something gets changed later on, and they're also saying that these IFRs is an interim final rule, which is now in place until maybe the Treasury might have a final rule. So I think just to protect ourselves and the town, that for each, you know, batch that we get of appropriations, it should be vetted through the attorney. So I just wanted to put that on the record.
Okay, thanks, Ann.
I wonder if I just attach that page, I can attach that to the minute.
Yeah, I mean, it's the memo from the, yeah. It's dated November 9th, 2021. Yeah, that'd be great, as an exhibit.
Okay. Any other discussion, questions? If none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And I'll abstain, Karen, 501. With that, that closes out old business. We'll move on to public discussion. Is there anybody that would like to address the board? Seeing no hands, we'll move on to board comments. Would anybody have a comment to make? Rich.
Oh, okay. Yes, when we were talking about the unassigned fund balance, and should we be fortunate enough to get to the 15%, and if we exceed that, I'm just going to toss out that maybe we could earmark things for open space investment if we exceed our unassigned balance above 15%.
Very good. Anybody else? Well, I'd just like to say congratulations to the 2 Anns. I think the Board of Selectmen will do very well to have 2 very fine attorneys join them, and I feel really confident going forward that you'll make great decisions for the town, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
for
you.
your continued service. It's been a pleasure to work with all of you. I know the Board of Finance will be in good hands with our veterans as well as our 2 newcomers in the audience. I feel really, really confident going forward that you'll keep a flat tax rate next year. No, just joking. That's going to be
No, we're not joking.
It really has been a pleasure. I can't believe I've been doing this for 9 years, and I've never done anything for that long. So that just goes to show how important the work is, how much I've enjoyed it. It's a challenge, and the best part of all is knowing that you're serving a town of 19,000 people. And, you know, you're never going to make everybody happy, but you do the best that you can. And through the discussions on the board, I think we've really have done right by the town. So I think it's been a great effort. Thanks again. And good luck to everyone going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Just a quick note, I'm departing the Board of Finance. Yeah, it's been a very eventful 4 years, and I was very honored to serve, you know, on the Board of Finance, and thank all of you I've served with for your service, and you know, and I also thank the previous board that I had the 2 years with. It was wonderful as well. So, and want to thank Anna and Mark for all your work. No matter what, during COVID, I mean, it was not easy. And Karen, likewise, with you know, the detailed information that we all require, so we know it can be difficult at times, but, you know, I'm looking forward to just continuing service, so thanks all of you again. Thank you.
I think I'll just consider you. I really enjoyed my time, and I think most of all is, you know, I came on, I didn't really know much, and you really mentored me, and, you know, I learned a lot. And I think really what it is, you know, most I value really is the friendships that I've made, and, you know, the good relationships that I've developed. I think we always had good discussions, sometimes lively, but I think we really all worked for the best for the town, and I think that's what's most important. And I'm looking forward to continuing to serve the town, and then I hope that, you know, everybody stays involved, because that's what makes a town great, is that people stay involved. Thank you.
Very good.
No, I just want to say, no matter how long you've been on the Board of Finance or any other board, you always have other things to learn. Every year is something different. So I want to mention that. Plus, I want to thank Mark for all his hard work, and Anna too, and Karen. And I'm sure we're going to have some challenges coming up in the next few years, but I think with the board that we are going to have, we'll have enough knowledge and experience to meet those challenges and do a job that's good for the people of East Lyme.
Very good. Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
One more comment.
Okay.
I just would like to thank the members of the board for the mentorship in being on the board. I've learned a lot in a couple of years. I have an awful lot yet to learn. And the working relationships with the officials in our town. I think, again, it's been a very learning experience, and people have been very helpful. And we have an incredible recording secretary.
Mark?
Yeah, I do.
I tried to fly under the radar.
Well, you're not going anymore.
I'm not going anywhere.
You
I know,
better
I'm
be.
going to be here next month, just sitting in the same seat.
But you must have a
And
thought.
so good luck, Mark. It's been a pleasure working with you.
Likewise. Thank you for your service.
And Ann, you do, of course, do wonderful, but I'll be seeing you next month. And Camille, good luck. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to the new board. I think I'm going to be the veteran. I'm going to be the long time. Yeah, but the long timer, right?
The long timer?
Well, you've been on before.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been on before, but, so.
Very good. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make
So
a motion
moved.
to
Second. Peter and Tom, all in favor? Right. Thanks, everybody. Good night.